Very good evening to all of you. Myself, Amandeep Kaur. I am a research scholar in the Shahid Bhagat Singh State University of Firozpur. So my topic is comprehensive synthesis and characterization of composites that are the nanocomposites with the purpose of developing an effective uranium scavenger. So let's start with the introduction part. Uranium, we know it is a very radiotoxic metal, and it is having a very harmful impact on our biotic environment. It poses a major environmental and health risk to the because of its radioactive and toxicity. Among the human beings, like lung cancer, kidney problems, and several other damages that are very common. So it is very required, very necessary to get it absorbed from the water bodies so that they won't get polluted away. And that these effects goes on increasing as the uranium gets aggregated by the food chain, through the food chain, especially in the potable water. So let's have a look on the qualities of efficacious adsorbent that are these are high permeable structure, and they are very cost effectiveness. They are the synthesis step that are the very straightforward and the rapid. And here why we chose these nano adsorbents, because they are environmentally friendly compositions, exceptionally thermal and chemical durability, and they give a large number of reactive sites for the attachment of heavy metals, so they get easily adsorbed on the surface of these adsorbents, and they get eliminated over there. This is a synthesis method. They have been prepared by the sol gel auto combustion method. Like the firstly, the metal nitrates, they have been of the metal nitrates, they have been weighed in the stoichiometric proportion. After that, they get dissolved into the water, and the next, the metal dissolved metal nitrate mix the metal dissolved metal nitrates with the fuel agent steps, so that they get with the constant stirring and heating, so that the liquid gets converted into the powder. After that, these synthesis step have been taken out, and the PVA binder, they have been that have been added, so that they get binding together to get the pellet formation. And after that, they undergo the sintering process for the 2 hours at 800 degrees Celsius, so that they get easily characterized for the nanocomposites. Next is the results and discussions. This is the micro structure analysis that I have taken using the SAM. These micrographs, they show that the presence of irregularly shaped and grain sized irregular shape and irregular size of these grain with they have the random orientations. As we know that the zinc oxide, that is highly porous, because it but as it processed with the iron oxide, that porosity decreases, and it results in increase in densification as well as increase in the grain size. So the adsorption experiments has been performed for the removal of the uranium. In the first, this is the composition like the zinc oxide, that is a 0.95, and on the other hand, it is 0.05. Similarly, four batch experiments have been performed. In the first one, the adsorption efficiency was reported as 21.35%, and it goes on increasing with the composition, that is 48.31, and at the last 68.47% for the removal of uranium has been achieved by using these prepared nanocomposites. So the following parameters have been studied, like the effect of pH on the adsorption efficiency, on the adsorption and the contact time, and the adsorbent dose for the adsorption of uranium ion. So if we talk about the pH, this is the pH value for the adsorption during all the series of experiments that has been taken as the pH that ranges in between 2 to 9 with the dosage of 0.5 gram per liter, and the time was 90 minutes. And we know, and ultimately a strong rise in the removal was shown when the pH raised from 3 to 6. The adsorption of effectiveness dropped as the pH of the solution was raised from 6 to 9. So because the charge on the surface of these and the frequency of these uranium species in the aqueous solution provides elucidations for the phenomenon. at the low pH value, that is in between 2 to 3, this protonated surface adsorption, these sites that get electrostatically repel, and the deprotonation and the emergence of these the uranium species that promote the electrostatic interaction with these active surface sites of the adsorbent. And in the second graph, that is for the contact time, the adsorption efficiency was evaluated by applying 25 milliliter of the uranium solution that was prepared in the lab at the dose of 0.5 gram per liter for the time in between the 15 to 150 minutes. In the beginning, the percentage adsorption percentage, it raised from 20 like 29%, approximately 29 to 68%. After that it gets almost constant. After the 68 or 68%, it gets constant. So this time was taken like the 90 minutes, where the maximum adsorption efficiency uh, was measured for the uranium ions. And in the case of third graph, that is the effect of adsorbent dose, this was investigated by altering the dosage value like 0.2 to 1 gram per liter in for the 90 minutes. So the efficiency, it was ascend from the 43% to 67% approximately. And after that 67%, when it was achieved, after this point, it becomes goes on constant almost. So this was taken where the uranium was adsorbed, or you can say, we can say that the uranium was removed highly, that is 68, 67% or 68%. After that, this is the adsorption kinetic models, that is for the zinc, for these prepared nano adsorbents. These obtained data was applied for the pseudo first order and the pseudo second order kinetic models to characterize this adsorption rate. And the pseudo second order kinetic model, it depicts the chemisorption process that involves the uh, chemical interactions for of the binding sites on the adsorbent terrain. Whereas the pseudo first order kinetic model, it shows the physisorption characteristics of adsorption. This is the IR spectra that was taken after or before and before when the uranium was adsorbed. This is the this one is the IR peak, that is before the uranium when it was not adsorbed, and this one is the after the uranium it was adsorbed. And 910 centimeter, it was a characteristic peak was absorbed. That corresponds that the uranium adheres to the surface of these adsorbents. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Smitorshi Probho Roy, and I'm at University Noida, and I'm a BSc Physics. I'm pursuing my undergraduate degree in Physics, and I'm in my third year. The topic that I'm going to present today is AU nanocubes as refractive index sensor. We have chosen AU nanocubes because of their the tunability that they provide, the the functionality, and their responses to the sensitivity to the incident light that falls upon them. To begin with, I'll first introduce you to plasmonics. So plasmonics is actually a fairly new field of study that is rapidly being researched upon, and it is basically it studies the interaction between metals and light, the interaction between light and metals, metallic nanostructures. Two important phenomena that happen in plasmonics is that define plasmonics at its core are LSPR and SPR. LSPR stands for localized surface plasmon resonance, and SPR is surface plasmon scattered plasmon resonance. So LSPR is basically what happens when on the surface of a metal, when incident light falls upon, if it matches the wavelength of the oscillating electrons of that metal, then a resonance occurs, and because of that, a shift occurs as well. And plasmons are basically the oscillating free electrons of a metal ion that are present on the metallic nanostructure. Due to this LSPR and LSPR, what happens is there's a strong enhancement of the electromagnetic field at the surface of the nanostructures, making it highly sensitive to changes in its local environment and surrounding medium. Applications of plasmonic include sensing and spectroscopy. We are going to focus upon sensing. So what happens in sensing is that the wavelength of light absorbed by nanoparticles undergo LSPR shifts in response to the changes in the refractive index of the surrounding medium, thereby giving a color shift. Um, let's go to the next slide, that is the refractive index sensor. So we know that refractive index is a fundamental property of uh, of a material that tells us how light behaves in that certain medium. Also, in a vague manner, we can say it provides us the measure of the thickness of the medium. So a refractive index sensor is a device designed to measure the refractive index of a substance or medium by producing a color shift in the medium. It utilizes the effects of LSPR and resonance light scattering, or RLS. They are very crucial in various fields, including biomedical diagnostics, environmental monitoring, chemical analysis, and in environmental, suppose, for example, in environmental monitoring, it provides us the measure of the humidity, the shift in the salinity of the air, and many more things apart. Uh, uh, in our study, the method that we have used is known as finite difference time domain. FDTD is a powerful computational method that is extensively used in the modeling and theorization of nano-optical devices. In our case, that are optical sensors. What FDTD does is it solves Maxwell's equation directly without any physical approximation. And because it is a time domain method, FDTD allows us to cover a wide range of frequencies interacting with the nanoparticle in a single simulation run. Now I'm going to display the graphs that I have obtained from the FDTD simulations. So we have chosen the sizes of the nanocubes to be between 10 nanometer to 90 nanometer, the alternating from going in a odd number increment. That is 10 nanometer, 30 nanometer, 50 nanometer, 70 nanometer, and 90 nanometer. We have observed that because of as the size of the nanocube increases, the shift in wavelength becomes much higher and much broader, whereas in lower sizes, the shift in the color shift in the nanocubes becomes much sharper and much smaller. So, and also we have observed that as we change the refractive index, the changes that we observe are not that much pronounced, or I would say that because of a medium change, there isn't becoming the nanocubes isn't affected. The nanocubes isn't getting extensively affected, and it is giving steady rises that we observe in both the four graphs. Then I'll show you the plasmon peak versus refractive index graph. Here we observe the slope of the graphs, and as we observe the slope, I have also displayed a table here for different refractive indexes with respect to the different sizes. And we observe that the sizes, the value of slope for plasmon peak versus refractive index remain almost same, shifting by or magnitudes of plus minus 10 nanometers, and sorry, shifting by magnitudes of plus minus 10. And because of this, it also shows us that AU nanocubes are really great, really effective and sensitive refractive index sensors, which remain um, which remain uh, which remain almost same throughout the refractive index that we employ them in, and they give steady responses with sizes. Also, the also a factor that governs these effects is the dielectric medium that surrounds it. Uh, it significantly also affects the sensing capabilities. We by matching the refractive index of the medium to the AU nanocube's plasmon resonance, we can also enhance sensitivity and accuracy of refractive index measurements. And different dielectric environments lead to varied shifts in the SPR, making AU nanocubes versatile sensors across a wide range of refractive indices. But my conclusion is that AU nanocubes demonstrate immense potential as refractive index sensors due to their tunable plasmonic properties and because of their high sensitivity to changes in surrounding media. Also, because of, as we have observed in the graphs, that the uniformity and steady peak responses underlines their abilities as excellent refractive index sensors in different media. By optimizing nanocube size and matching the dielectric environment, they can further enhance their performance in real-world applications. And continued research and development in this field promise exciting possibilities for advanced sensing technologies. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ayushi Nayal, and I am a second year BSc Physics Honors student from MIT University, Noida, Department of Physics. Today, I'll be giving my presentation on the topic variation in LSPR and field enhancement of titanium nitride nanosphere, nanoellipsoidal, and nanoring structure. So, introduction to plasmonics. Plasmonics is basically how light interacts with tiny metal particles. When light hits these particles, the electrons on the surface move to and fro or oscillate. Due to these oscillations, electrons generate wave, and that is called surface plasmons. The metal is, because the metal is very small and the electrons oscillate, a large amount of electric field is generated. This generated electric field is what makes plasmonics useful for various applications. Tunability. Tunability refers to the ability or to adjust or control a specific property of a material or a system. It is the ability to adjust the shape, size, or material composition of a nanoparticle to change the way it interacts with light. FDDT method. Finite difference time domain method. The FDDT method stimulates how light interacts.
Ayushi, sorry for the interruption.
Yes,
Your
sir.
slides are not moving. Have you started changing the slides? It is not moving. You can click on the particular slide so that it will be visible.
Sir, my slides are moving on my screen.
What I'm saying is you may please click on the side window. You can see slide number, particular slide number. Yeah, now it is in the 4th slide. So please click on to the next 5th, 6th like that when you are talking. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Continue.
The FDDT method stimulates how light interacts with tiny objects by dividing space and time into small parts and calculating change in electric field and magnetic field in each box step by step. It shows how light interacts with different shape and material, whether they are simple or complex. It enables easy and accurate modeling of various linear and non-linear dielectric and magnetic material. It is a versatile modeling technique because it covers a wide range of frequency and a number of materials. So first graph is for the nanosphere. As you can see, the first graph is between extension coefficient versus the size for nanosphere. So with the increase in extension coefficient, the size of nanoparticle also increases. This shows that this indicates that the larger particles are more efficient in scattering and absorbing the light. So the B part, plasmon peak versus size, this indicates, as you can see, the value of plasmon peak is increasing with the increase in size of the nanosphere, as the peak shift to longer wavelength, indicating tunability based on size. The third graph figure is for the field enhancement pattern at plasmon wavelength for 20 nanometer of nanosphere. The fourth graph is for field enhancement factor for nanosphere. As you can see, the value of field enhancement factor increases with the increase in the size of the nanoparticle. This indicates the enhancing light matter interaction. Then the next shape is nanoellipsoidal. The first graph is between extinction coefficient and wavelength of the particle along when the field is polarized along the major axis, and B for the when the field is polarized along the minor axis. These graphs shows how light interact with nanoparticles when polarized when the light is polarized in different axes. The peaks in the graph show that wavelength when the nanoparticle strongly show the wavelength where the nanoparticle strongly interact with the light. The two graphs shows the different orientation when the light is polarized along major axis and the minor axis. The third graph is between variation of plasmon peak versus size. Plasmon peak shifts based on the shape and polarization direction of the nanoellipsoid. And this suggests that modifying the structural parameters of nanoellipsoidal one can achieve desired resonance. Then the first graph is for the field enhancement pattern when the field is polarized along major axis for 50 nanometer nanoellipsoid, and B for the when field is polarized along minor axis for 50 nanometer nanoellipsoid. The variation of field enhancement factor. So as you can see, there are two lines, one for the major axis and one for the minor axis. The major axis has values more than the minor axis. It is because when the light is polarized along the major axis, the surface to area interaction is more. And while the light is polarized along minor axis, the surface area to interaction with light is less, and therefore a high amount of electric field is generated, which thus causes a larger value of field enhancement factor. Then the nanoring. First graph is between the extinction coefficient versus the wavelength. As you can see, the value of extinction coefficient increases with the increase in the size of particle. It is because the value of extinction coefficient increases with the increase in size, which indicates the enhancing light matter interaction. The B graph is for the near field pattern at plasmon wavelength for 30 nanometer nanoring structure. And then the C part is the size dependent field enhancement factor. The graph shows a linear increase for the field enhancement factor. It increases linearly with the increase in size wavelength. From all of this, my conclusion was the study highlights the significant influence of particle size, shape, and polarization direction on the plasmonic properties of titanium nitride nanostructures. Key finding shows size-dependent shifts in plasmon resonance peaks and variation in field enhancement factor, indicating titanium nitride's ability for tunable plasmonic applications, particularly in sensing and near-field enhancement scenarios. Thank you.
So, good evening, everyone. My project topic is synthesis of ZNO Fe2O3 nanocomposites for photocatalytic degradation of dyes. So, myself, Vaishnavi from Purna Pratnya College, Udupi, Karnataka, studying in 3rd BSc. So, as we know, ZNO nanocomposites exhibit excellent optical properties, including high excitation binding energy and wide band gap. So they possess strong antibacterial properties. So they are used in the medical applications. And ZNO nanocomposites are excellent photocatalysts used for water splitting to produce hydrogen, degradation of organic pollutants in wastewater, and air purification. So ZNO is a strong absorber of ultraviolet light, making ZNO nanocomposites useful in sunscreens, coatings, and plastics to protect against the UV radiation. The semiconducting nature of the ZNO nanocomposites makes them valuable in the development of the electronic devices such as transistors, varistors, devices, etc. So ZNO nanocomposites are used in drug delivery systems, bioimaging, and as an antibacterial agent also. So this is this is how we prepared the ZNO Fe2O3 nanocomposites. So 2.027 gram of the FeCl 3.6H2O was dissolved in 50 ml of water, followed by the addition of 2 gram of ZNO and 2.5 gram of the microcrystalline cellulose, and stirred for 30 minutes. During this stirring, 15 ml of 5 molar NaOH was added until a precipitate formed. So which was then filtered, washed, dried, and ground into fine powder. The powder was sieved for uniform particle size and stored in an airtight container for future use. So this resulted in the ZNO nanocomposite powder. So this powder was tested with the dyes that we have prepared. The dyes were prepared by the aqueous solution with 50 ppm of erythrome black tea, food color, and methylene blue dyes. They were prepared from the stock solution using 0.5 milligram of the composites. The study systematically investigated degradation under varying contact time and initial concentrations using the colorimetry. So these are the results that we have got. That with the erythrome black tea, in the table you can see as the time increases, the percentage removal of the dye can be observed. Even the percentage removal has been increased. And the second table is of the effect of contact time with the food color yellow. Even there, the percentage removal of the dye has been increased. And this is with the effect of contact time with methylene blue dye solution. Even here, the same thing happened. At the end, we have got the 81.34% removal of the dye. So this is we had the graph of the comparative study of percentage removal of dyes with the nanocomposites. So in this, the graph shows the blue color shows the methylene blue, red color shows the food color yellow, and the green color shows the erythrome black tea. So methylene blue, 81% degradation can be seen. In food color yellow, 73% degradation can be seen. And erythrome black tea has shown the moderate activity. The trend is that increasing contact time leads to the higher dye removal. We can see the reason that is difference in structural and the molecular bonds of the dyes leads to the degradation of the bonds. And this is the scanning electron microscope image analysis. The HSM image confirms presence of the ZNO and Fe2O3 phases within synthesized nanoparticles. Polymer act as the binding material between the metals, that is microcrystalline cellulose, and shows a uniform distribution of the particles. We have got the particle size distribution slightly above the 1000 nanometer. So this is a high quality image, validate the structural composition of the nanocomposite. And conclusion is that in this study, mixed nanocomposite of ZNO, ferric oxide, and microcrystal cellulose were synthesized using the solution phase method and characterized by the SEM-ATX confirming particle size aqueous dye solution at 50 ppm were prepared for batch experiments to study the photocatalytic oxidation. The nanocomposite exhibited superior photocatalytic activity, achieving 81% degradation of the methylene blue and 73% removal of the food color yellow dye with increased contact time, enhancing the oxidation. Graph showed the moderate photocatalytic action of the nanocomposite on the erythrome black tea. And these are the references. And yeah, turning sunlight into a powerful tool for the purification, nanocomposites pave the way for the greenery world. Thank you.
Myself is Geeta.Pai. I am research scholar. I am pursuing PhD under the guidance of Dr. S.K. Rajappa sir, Assistant Professor, Karnataka Science College, Dharwad. Corrosion is one of the most severe problem in the present industries for cleaning, etching, and process. Instead of using the synthetic and drugs as an corrosion inhibitor, I have selected the natural inhibitor for preventing corrosion. So today my research topic is sustainable and green corrosion inhibition of mild steel, insights from chemical and electrochemical approaches. The presentation outline, it contains introduction, methods and materials, inhibitor preparation, objectives, and it includes result and discussion, which includes weight loss, temperature effect, electrochemical measurements, adsorption isotherm, SEM, AFM, and FTIR techniques. Mild steel, also known as low carbon steel, it is the most common form of the steel because its price is relatively low. Also, it provides a material property that are acceptable for many applications. Mild steel has been widely used for different industry for fabrication of the pipelines, boiler, and cooling water system, and it is susceptible to corrosion when it is exposed to the industrial environment. Acid solutions such as either HCls or H2SO4 can be used for chemical and allied industries for picklining, cleaning, and etching process. And during this process, the metal surface get under corrosion. In order to control the metal dissolution or loss of metal, a large number of organic compounds or pharmaceutical drugs or dyes and even plant extracts are developed to control the metal dissolution process in acid media. The extracts of the natural product, whether it is plant or seeds or oil, that may contain some organic species such as carbohydrates or amino acids or tannins, alkaloids, proteins, and these species are biodegradable in nature. The present research is carried out on Putranjiva rohsbergi plant leaves extract, and it was subjected to the corrosion inhibition investigation for mild steel in 1 molar SCl medium. Materials and methodology: rectangular plate of mild steels with exposed surface area of 5 cm, length 1 cm breadth and 1 cm width was used for weight loss measurement. 1 cm square surface area used for the electrochemical phenomena, either for gravimetric measurement or for electrochemical phenomena. All the metal samples were polished with different grades of emery papers. Then it is washed with acetone. Then it is washed with distilled water, dried and stored in desiccator. All the AR grade chemicals are used for the test solution. Inhibitor preparation. The Putranjiva rohsbergi leaves were collected from Botanical Garden of Karnataka Science College, Dharwad. The leaves were shade dried for 15 days. Then it is pulverized into powder form. Then it is used for oxalate extraction technique, which is an effective technique for isolating primary and secondary metabolites from the natural sources. Then it is used for rotatory evaporator. After rotatory evaporator, the crude extract was obtained in the semi-solid form. Then the crude extract was used as an inhibitor for further studies. First method is weight loss method. It is a form of the gravimetric method which is frequently applied for determining the corrosion rate as well as inhibition efficiency of the inhibitor. From this result, can be confirmed that from 1 hour to 5 hours in the absence of the inhibitor, that is especially in the case of blank solution from 1 to 5 hours, the corrosion rate value should be very high. As where the inhibitor concentration increases from 2.6 to 4.4, the corrosion rate decreases, but inhibition efficiency goes on increases. So for 4.4 ml for 1 to 5 hours, we got a maximum inhibition efficiency of 94.11%. It indicates that the effective constituent present in the Putranjiva rohsbergi that will adhere to the metal surface and it will inhibit the corrosion process. That can be graphically shown by that as the time increases, the corrosion rate goes on decreases. That indicates that metal dissolution process will be decreases. And on the other hand, as the time increases, the inhibition efficiency will be increases. Then it can be further confirmed by the electrochemical studies as well as potentiodynamic polarization technique. Electrochemical impedance spectroscopy is the most effective technique which is used for determining the corrosion kinetics as well as corrosion potential value. From the result, it can be concluded that here electrode potential value is almost constant for all concentration of the inhibitor. Whereas on the other side here, the corrosion current density value goes on decreases. It indicates that in the absence of the inhibitor, the corrosion density value should be high. Whereas in the presence of the inhibitor, the corrosion current density value should be low. It indicates that on the cathodic side, there is evolution of hydrogen gas. On the anodic side, there is a dissolution of the metal plates. Whereas in case of blank solution or in the presence of 1 molar HCl solution, both metal dissolution as well as hydrogen gas evolution is comparatively high. That is indicated by high electron density value in case of blank solution. dissolution. As the inhibitor concentration increases, the corrosion current density value decreases. It means that metal dissolution process is also decreases. Hydrogen gas evolution process is also decreases. Hence, it can be concluded that the inhibitor will inhibit both cathodic process as well as anodic process, and it will act as a mixed inhibitor type. Then it can be further confirmed by the potentiodynamic polarization techniques. Potentiodynamic polarization technique is also an electrochemical phenomena which can be used to study the efficiency of the inhibitor in terms of 3-electrode system. From the result, it can be concluded that as the inhibitor concentration goes on increases, the requisite plot was also increases. Hence, here the CPE value in the absence of the inhibitor value should be high, whereas in the presence of inhibitor, the CPE value goes on decreases. In this condition, the metal surface will act as an electrical double layer. And also in literature, the N value should be usually lies from -1 to +1. If N value is -1, then it will act as a resistor. If it is 0, then it acts as a inductor. If it is a +1, then it will act as a capacitor. Here for the we get the N values less than 1. Hence, the metal plate slightly deviate from the ideal capacitor value. Also, as the inhibitor concentration increases, the CPE value decreases. It means that the water molecules as well as H+ ion, which are other to the metal surface, they are replaced by the inhibitor molecules. As a result, inhibition efficiency goes on increases. Then it can be further confirmed by the effect of temperature method. From the result, it can be confirmed that from 300 to 320 Kelvin, the corrosion rate value is corrosion rate value is increases, whereas inhibition value is goes on decreases. This indicates that as the temperature increases, corrosion rate value should be increases, but inhibition value should be decreases. Therefore, for 300 Kelvin at 4.4 ml, we get 94% inhibition efficiency, but for 320 ml, for 4.4 ml, we got 88 is the inhibition efficiency. Therefore, at a higher temperature, the inhibitor is unable to withstand the metal surface. Then it can be confirmed by the adsorption isotherm. In the literature review, if we get the delta G value -20 or less than -20, the inhibitor molecule other to the metal surface is held by weak van der Waals forces. If it lies between -20 to -40, then inhibitor molecule bound to the metal surface by strong chemical bond. In the present work, I got -32 to -33 degree, -33.8 values. It indicates that the effective component present in the plant extract, which will bond to the metal surface by strong chemical bond, and the inhibitor will hold good Langmuir adsorption model. Further, the morphological variation of the MS surface can be confirmed by the scanning electron microscope as well as AFM and contact angle technique. Here, figure A is the highly polished metal surface. It does not contain any it means that the metal surface is highly homogeneous. Whereas
Sorry,